Hello, hello, hello. How are you today? This is Joanne Hewins with LoveToCreate.typepad.com. And I'm so happy to be with you today. If you are watching, could you say hello or something so that I'll know you're there and everything's okay? Hey, Tina, how are you? I'm fine. Doing really good. So I'm going to wait just a minute or two and see if we have anyone else. Always glad to have you, Tina. You make me feel special. Hey, Cindy Rose, how are you today? Good to see you. Okay. Since most people catch mine on the replay, I'm going to go ahead and start. My upline, Patty Bennett, has challenges for her Love to Stamp group. And one of the challenges for this month is to post something using scraps. So I was having a hard time coming up with something to do today. And I thought, well, we're just going to explore scraps a little bit. So first of all, I'm going to show you how I keep my paper and how I keep my scraps. So last year about this time, I redid my stamp room. I had cabinets put in, and my cabinet person put in file drawers for me, not really, well, file drawers in cabinets. And so what I did is I gave him the folders I wanted to use, and I said I want them to fit this. So for my 5.5 by 11 paper, I gave him this file folder. It was from a box of folders that I got at the Office Depot. And so on the inside, I have my full sheets of the cardstock. This is Pool Party. And then I have a baggie inside each folder that I put all of my scraps in. That way they're all together. And I can look and see if I have a scrap that I can use before I go into a whole sheet. And you can see I've got a lot of Pool Party here, so sometimes I guess I don't check the scraps as well as I should. But anyway, that's how I keep my paper in file drawers, and I do mine in rainbow color. I just like it. It's easier to do, and I have, I think I have 3 drawers that are dedicated, well, wait. Yeah, 3 drawers that are dedicated to my papers, like that, 3 file drawers. And then I also handed my cabinet maker this folder, and this one comes from Stamp and Storage. Several years back, they had a pop-up Stamp and Storage thing in Charlotte, and several of us went down to see, and they had a sale on these folders, and the others in my group were buying these folders, and so I bought some too, having no idea what I would do with them. But now these are sturdy, they're tough, and they will hold my designer 12 by 12 paper. So what I do is I got these plastic sheets, and I'll have to look up the link for that, but they were from Amazon, and so I put my full sheets in, and I also keep my scraps in there, and then I just put this inside this folder and hang it in my drawers that were made for 12 by 12 paper, and I've got several drawers dedicated to that. So that's how I keep my paper and how I keep my scraps, just in case you wanted to know. And we'll get on with our first card, okay? So I don't know if you've read the description, but this may be just a review, especially if you've been stamping a long time. This is nothing new, but maybe just some reminders of things that we can do with our scraps. So this first card, I've used 1-inch strips of scraps that I had, and then this piece up here, I'm not sure exactly how, excuse me for reaching, but I'm going to measure that. It was one, I just took the width that it was. So it looks like 1 3/8. So so sorry about the phone call. Anyway, I took the width that it was, and I ran these pieces through embossing folders so that they would all look different. So for this is Pale Papaya up here, and I ran it through the macrame embossing folder, and then I have 2 pieces of Calypso Coral. The first one here I ran through with the Parisian Flourish embossing folder. This one is Poppy Parade, and I used the Time Worn type. Now on this one, pay attention because there's some words and you want to put it's in order so that if somebody's trying to look at that, they'll say, oh, that's a word. Then the Calypso Coral again with the Ornate Floral embossing folder. And then the Poppy Parade, I used this Meadow Moments, and I used it over here on the side so that I would get all of those leaves. So I've already done that for the card we'll be doing today. We'll just be putting that together. So one of the things that I noticed while making these is that the adhesive sheets are just invaluable for this. So these come in a set of 12 sheets, and they are 6 by 12. And I cut them to the size of the paper, maybe just a little hair smaller. And so I'm going to adhere that to my paper that is, well, 4 by 5 1/4. So let me just, it comes off so that you can pull it off in little sheets. Makes it a little bit easier to handle, I think. Hi, Beth Bishop. It's been a while, I think, since I've heard from you. And I think I'm pretty much back to normal, except losing my breath a little faster than I may be used to. We're working on that, but I'm doing much better. So I have that on there, and I'm going to take my bone folder and burnish this down. I noticed while I was making some of the cards that some of it wasn't sticking all the way out to the end. So I thought, well, I'll try burnishing that, and that was the answer. So just take your bone folder and kind of push that down, and hopefully we'll get really good coverage from this. And so I'm going to just pull these pieces up. And you can see, or maybe you can't, but it did go out to the edges. Okay, and then one more little piece here, and we're ready to do our sticking. Now, if I were leaving some space between my pieces, this would not work. But it does work wonderfully if you're just going to butt everything up against each other. So I'm going to pull this around here and just adhere that down. Okay, and I can see that I've gone over, but I'll probably go over on some of these others, and we will we'll trim it out. So this one, I'm going to butt right up against that top piece and try to line it up with this extra right here. Thank you, Beth. And now I'm going to look at my words. I see the word never. And I'm going to butt that up against up here and down here. And then I'll pick the next Calypso coral piece. And I do have these longer. I just kind of took some of the width that I had. Okay, and that doesn't quite cover up the white right there, but no worries. We'll just trim it down. So I do have my trimmer. And, oops, sorry about that. Let me reach for that. Now, you can either just turn it to the back and trim it, your ends from there, or you can use your trimmer. Okay, so I've got those, and I'm going to use my trimmer for this last little bit. And I'm just going to put it in just a little bit and get that off. And then I'm also, to make my paper look about the same, I'm going to do about that much off of the top. And hopefully that will work out. Okay, so we've got our piece here. And I'm going to bring in some of the crinkle white ribbon. And I'm just going to put that around this layer. I use tape a lot for the back. It doesn't add a lot of extra layers in there. Okay, and I'm just going to cut that off like that. And I'm going to go ahead and add that to my base. My base is thick, basic white. I like to use the thick if it's going to be a base of a card. And I'm just going to add, excuse me, some glue to the back of that. And we'll center that as best we can. Isn't that kind of a quick and easy card to make? And I did just use things that I found in my baggies from those colors. Okay, and then I'm going to make a ribbon or a bow. Let me find, I know my bow maker is in here. Here it is. I've got a lot of stuff in here today. So what I'm going to do is take this and wrap it around my bow maker a couple of times. And if you are interested in a bow maker, I don't really have an end to one of those. I know that Tamara Davis sells them in her Etsy store. Tamara's another North Carolina demonstrator. But I think that you could probably just Google bow maker and come up with some different alternatives for that. So I've got my bow. I'm just going to pull that off. Now you probably couldn't see that so great from your angle, but anyway, it is what it is. So I've got my bow here. I pulled my little pieces apart, and then I'm going to use a glue dot behind there. And I'm going to lay that down for a second. I used with this the tailor-made tags. I used this second smallest one for the tag that I have, and my saying is from the stamp set Inspired Thoughts. and it is here, thinking of you on your special day. For these little flowers right here, I used the Pierced Bloom dies, and I used this die. I like that it cuts out 3 at a time, and so that's what I used for that. And I'm going to go ahead and put a glue dot kind of, well, that didn't work too good, did it? Let me get another one. A glue dot kind of behind there. And then I'm also going to put a part of a dimensional down here at this end. So I'm going to stick this kind of like that. Let me pull the end off of that, or the top off of that dimensional. And then I'm going to put my bow kind of over that dot. Now, I don't think that's how I did it so much in that sample, but I decided that's how I should have done it. And then we'll just kind of trim off the bow. I normally wouldn't put those colors together, but I think they look pretty good. Hey, Sandy, how are you? You having a good trip? Hi, Patty. Hello. Patty, I was just telling them that I decided to do scraps because of your incentive for us to add things to the group. So I thought, well, I'm just going to play with some of the scraps and see what we come up with. Okay, so I'm just going to add, I added some dots. I could have put a glue dot back there. And I could pick those up with my Take Your Pick tool and maybe add those a little bit easier. Let's try that and see. I'll turn that one over. Yeah, that does work better. Oops, I said as I pulled it up again. And then we'll add another one here. So this is my first card using scraps. And I really like how it turned out. I thought it was really, really cute. So we'll move on. I have quite a few cards today. And I'm going to do as many as I can. And we'll see. We'll just see how far we get. Because I have a friend that's getting ready to do another live at the top of the hour. And I want to be done by the time she goes on. So this is the next card that we're going to be making. And this card uses scraps. You know how you're cutting those pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4 to fit on your base. And we end up having a lot of this size left. And so I wanted to show using some of those scraps and how that would be. So for my insert on this, it measures, I believe, well, it's actually 5 5/8 by 4 7/8. So it's a little bit smaller than what I have the other. But I've cut my adhesive sheet to fit this. And maybe like I said, just a hair smaller. I think this one isn't. It's a little bit longer. So I think I'm going to bring in my cutter and just trim that just a little. It's easier to cut it while the sticky isn't showing than when it is. That's a tip. And ask me how I know. All right. And my paper stuck to the bottom of my trimmer. So I'm going to pull this off and just adhere it to that paper. And probably trimmed off a little more than I should have because it's not going to be covering the corners that great, but it will be fine. And I am going to take my bone folder again and just burnish this, especially near the edges, so that will adhere really good. And then we'll just get it across there as well. Hi, Teresa. How are you? Thank you. Okay, so let me get my take your pick tool, and we'll take those pieces off. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of start with one of my pieces. I think I may have some that are shorter. Probably best to start with some of those, but oh well. So I'm just going to do it diagonally across the card. So I'm just going to lay that down, and then I'll pick up one of my other pieces. And I just want to try to butt that up to the next piece. Remember, this adhesive sheet will work really well as long as you're butting it up to the next piece. If you're going to put space between them, then you probably don't want to use the adhesive sheet for that. Or you don't want to, because you'll have lots of sticky on there. Okay, and then I'm going to try to maybe keep the same, I'm just going to cut this piece. I'm going to try to keep the same color combination going on this. Okay. You can see you need less paper as I'm going to go ahead and just cut that, and that'll give me some shorter pieces to use. Then let's see, after that I need a blue piece, and that will work perfectly. Okay. And we'll just go ahead and work down from the other side. I work better going up this way, so I'm just going to turn it over. And I want it up close. Okay. That will work. And we'll do another blue piece. Now, I will admit I did have to cut a few sticks of this. I didn't have that many in my scraps, but I did cut it from scraps that were in there. I didn't go into a full new sheet for it. Oops, I didn't get that one super close. There we go. That one's not long enough, so here I've got a piece right there that will work. And then our next color is the darker blue. Sorry, can't get a hold of my scissors. So I'm just going to cut that and get a little piece from there to take care of that. So I'm just going to turn my paper over. And remember, on the last card I said you can use your trimmer, or you can just use your snips to cut off those extra pieces. Now, if you're going to make more than one card, you've got some little bit longer pieces that you could use for that. And then you've got a lot of trash right here that you can get rid of. And be excited that you have actually used some of your scraps. Okay, so I'm going to kind of push some of this out of the way. And there's my insert there, not insert, but my piece that goes on there. Now I want to show you too that I go ahead and cut some pieces for my card fronts. And these are old cases that we used to have. So I have one case that has 4 by 5 1/4. And I have another case that has 3 3/4 by 5. And I just find that that's, keep it close to my working area. And I just find that that's a great thing to do. Sometimes though, I need to cut, I think this cutout right here came from the scallop contours, and I cut it out of the center of this, thinking that I could just use that later as a border for another piece. So what I'm gonna do that for this one, and that might be a way that you can make a scrap that you can use. Sorry about that. And let me kind of glue that down first. Just trying to get very lightly with the glue. And I'm just going to hold that corner to corner and try to adhere that. I'm finding that I'm going through a phase of being crooked. So I don't know what that is. I got my eyes checked yesterday and they were fine. But I've had a few things lately that after I have finished, I went back and looked at them. And I thought, why in the world did you put that on there like that? I usually keep a pen. Well, I think my glue might be getting low. This is one of those macrame pens, and I usually just keep it stuck right in there for if my glue suddenly doesn't want to squirt out. And like I said, I think this one is getting low. Plus, I wasn't putting it back so that it was standing upright, so I'll try to do that. Okay, so I'm going to add this here. Oh, I'm going to pull it up real quick because I want to put some ribbon around this one. Okay, excuse me a minute, I dropped it and of course it rolled off. So I'm going to just cut a little piece of this freesia in color ribbon. Since I've put glue on the back of that, I don't know if I need to do tape, but I think I will anyway. Okay, and that means I will have glue on my fingers. Okay, there we go. So that will go there. Okay, and then for this one, I'm going to need to make another bow. Usually I make my bows ahead of time, and I just guess I didn't think to do that this time. Thanks, Cindy. I got that tip about the pen from one of our teammates, Twyla. She's always so good to share her tips, and she even brought us all a pen. So that was nice. Okay. For this one, I used the Encircled in Beauty dies. I used this small one right here. And the saying that I'm using is from the Welcoming Woods stamp set, this Best Wishes right here. I tried to go ahead and do some of that ahead of time so that we could maybe get a little bit more done. And I'm going to pull in my dimensionals. You'll remember last week I was down at the end. And I do have some more here, but I'll just try to use up some of this. Okay, and I put my dimensionals kind of at the top and the bottom of the words so that they wouldn't interfere so much with the ribbon. So I'm just going to add that in there. We'll get a glue dot and add our bow. Just right toward the edge there. We'll trim our bow ends. Okay. I'll have my ribbon scissors in here. And then we are going to add some of the 2021-23 in color jewels to our card. And looks like I'm about out of the freesia ones in that pack, but I've got another pack here, and we will just add one there and one up here and another one right in there. So there is our card for this, and that is using just some of our scraps from cutting the 4 by 5 1/4, the little 1/2 inch that we have left. There you go. So there's our second card that we're making today. All right, let me pull in the next one that we're going to do. And this one is using scraps from the hand-pinned Designer Series paper. And let me pull some of my scraps that I have from that. And we're going to be using Highland Heather as our base. And then I've got a ribbon that is part of the Flowers for Every Season ribbon combo pack. Hi, Deborah. And so then we're going to, again, use our adhesive sheet on the back of this. So I've got it ready to go, and I'll just go ahead and pull that off. Can you see how quickly, if you're used to doing the glue, how quickly it makes your project go to use the adhesive sheets? Now I do get a little bit of the sticky on my fingers, and sorry, I've been stamping today, but I just go over the trash can and kind of rub and get that off. It comes off really easily. And I always just keep a trash can beside of me. So let me find my bone folder, and we'll burnish that again to make sure that it really sticks well. So I went around all the edges, and then I'm just going to go over the rest of this as well. Okay, and the reason I'm doing this is because I noticed that some of the adhesive wasn't staying all the way to the edges. It was pulling off. And so I wanted to make sure that we had good adhering of that. So let me pull, I'll start up here with this. Okay. And then one more little piece. Okay. Now to do this one, we are going to, and it doesn't matter, let's see if that one's long enough. I'm going to do a piece that just goes diagonal. And I think I may just do 2 pieces that do that. So I'll just get another one. And you want to make sure that your pieces are long enough here, but also on the other side as well. And then you're just going to kind of turn this, and right in the middle there, I'm going to do a piece that goes the opposite way. And so I'll just keep adding pieces to fill that in. And it just makes just a little bit of a different pattern. Okay, so this one I've used on a couple cards, and I'm just going to cut that straight. Let's hope I cut it straight. Okay, and then just use that. And so this is a small little piece right here, but it has sticky on it, so hopefully we'll be fine. Okay, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just trim this on the edge here, and that will give us some smaller pieces to work with. Okay. And remember, you've got both sides of the paper to choose from. That one I didn't get butted up really well. Well, it did let me pull it up for a second, so. Usually I don't think it does that. And then this little piece right here, I'm not sure I can get anything to stick right in there. If I can't, we'll just, like we did a little while ago, we'll trim our paper so that everything looks fine. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these. And that one we'll need to look at. Okay. So I'm going to stick that back on there and push it down really, really good. There, I think we've got it. Okay, so we'll do the same thing from this other end. Okay. All right, sorry, this one is taking a little bit longer. And I'm trying to hurry, and I'm not doing a good job of getting my pieces to fit well. Okay, a little mess up right there, but okay, and let me quickly see if I can get this area done. I apologize, this one is a little messy. Okay, we're about done. Okay, that will take care of that. So let me turn this over and trim the rest. Okay, I'll push all of those out of the way. And then this would just fit right on top of the card. And I used the Tasteful labels to make my labels for this. Why does it wait until you're on live camera to... Okay. I do love this paper. I think it looks pretty for this. Okay, so I used the Tasteful labels, and I used these two right here for my sayings. And I'm just going to glue this to the okay, let me get this other bottle that's been laying here and see if it's going to do any better for me. I've just used so much glue lately. I'm going to go back to the other one. Actually, we're just going to do some glue dots on here. And that will do it. Okay, so let me put that in the middle of the card. And then the Peace, Joy, Love comes from that same set we used earlier. The here it is, the Inspired Thoughts. It's right there. So we're going to put a little bit of ribbon behind the Peace, Joy, Love. Okay, I'm going to trim that. And then we're just going to add that with dimensionals. Get my others. Tina, is it raining at your house? We're getting ready to have a storm here. Hi, Kay. All right, so I'm going to add that with dimensionals. And we'll just put that right here in the middle. Okay, and then we are going to add some more of the jewels to this card. And we're going to add the purple ones. So we'll do one here. Oops. Maybe get the other ones out that I have. About out of purple, so we'll use, I do have plenty down here though, don't I? There. And maybe there. And there's the third card that we are making today. And that might be all that that we need to do today. I feel like if I go to the next one, I will run out of time. but I am going to say a little something about it. And, no, actually I'm not. What I'm going to do is I have 3 other cards here, and I'm going to put them, this will be on my blog post on Friday, and what I'm going to do is make another video. It won't be a live, but just make another video, and I'll put those 3 on there, and then those will go on my blog on Monday, and I'll just add the video there so you can see the others. And I'll be doing 3 other things with just scraps that are kind of linear and that kind of thing. And there's certainly other things to do with scraps, and I may work on that later. Let me tell you that I will not have a Facebook Live next week. I will be at the beach with my family, and so no Facebook Live. And if you get my newsletter that I send out every Tuesday, I will not be having a newsletter this next week either. I'm going to stand back and just do a few things with the family. I'll have my granddaughters, Sagan and Hazel, with me, and my daughter and her husband, and our son Jeff is coming down, and some sister-in-law and brother-in-law of my husband will be coming. Well, his brother and sister, they're my in-laws, they're not his in-laws, will also be coming down. So it's going to be a good family time, and I am very excited to get away from town, to do something fun. And so we'll be gone all week. John and I are going down to pick up Sagan, the 3-year-old, on Sunday. And then we'll get up early on Monday and leave for the beach with her. And it'll be the 3 of us, John and Sagan and I, until Wednesday night. So we're trying to find some fun things to do besides rocking on the porch and walking down to the beach and swimming, and playground close by. And so we'll be looking for some other things too. So I'm excited, and I will miss you next week. I have worked really, really hard, so I will have my regular blog post on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. In fact, on Thursday, I have 3 posts. It all worked out at one time, but I have 3 posts on Thursday, and I have most of that ready and written and scheduled, and I've worked really hard. I thank you today for joining me. Hey, Susan Hunsucker. I hope you are feeling better. If you need any supplies, you probably have lots of scraps, but if you need any supplies, I'd appreciate it if you go to lovetocreate.typepad.com and shop on my online store. I do have somewhere between 20 and 25 tutorials that I send to everyone who orders at least $50 worth. These are great tutorials from, each one is from a different demonstrator across the United States, and well-known demonstrators, and very good tutorials. So if you want to get in on that, just order $50 online. I do have a host code that would be nice if you would use. I'm going to let you go. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And on Friday, I will have the directions and measurements for these cards, and I'll list all the supplies that I used. And then the following Monday, I will have a video and 3 more cards using scraps. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.